Asio cho kwan okwancho asio opanyin ne hwan. Asio cho kwan okwancho asio opanyin ne hwan. Yebo kwan no kotu asio no fritete. Asio cho kwan okwancho asio opanyin ne hwan. Asio cho kwan okwancho asio opanyin ne hwan. Yebo kwan no kotu asio no fritete. Asio no fi odoman kuma. Asio cho kwan okwancho asio opanyin ne hwan. Asio cho kwan okwancho asio opanyin ne hwan. Yabo kwan no kotu asio no fritete.
We invite all spirits here present to come and participate in the pouring of libation for Kojo Anani Dzidzienyo, who has left us to join his ancestors. Here is water. Come, wash yourselves, and come into the middle of the living. Yeah. Almighty God, who lives on the path of righteousness, the everlasting, the creator and owner of all things, we pray for your mercy, peace, wisdom, and understanding. Keep us safe. Let us not be confounded. We show it to you, but we do not pour it for you. Noble and powerful deities who live on the path. Noble and powerful deities, first messengers and servants of the Almighty, come, accept your grace. Through you, the Almighty manifested himself. He faithfully fulfilled and executed his wishes while he formed and created the universe. Thursday-born Earth, Mother Earth, come, accept your grace. You, the Creator, took part to form and mold humans and made them dependent on you, whether living or dead. We salute you, we honor you. Ancestral spirits of Anani's father's clan, come accept your grace. Ancestral spirits of Anani's mother's clan, come accept your grace. You intervene on behalf of living clan descendants, blessing them and safeguarding them against misfortunes and evil. We invite all when we invite one. All spirits here present, come accept your grace. Kojo Anani Dzidzienyo, today we offer you your libation. It has not been too long ago when your destiny took you away. You left us for your ancestral forebears. Your departure orphaned your wife and bathed us in tears. Bitter cola filled our mouths. A champion rooster overtaken by a hawk. Condolence, condolence, condolence for your suffering. Anani, a man of dignified bearing, spokesman and trusted counselor of the Ameni Street, distinguished scholar and educator. Your intercontinental research advanced our knowledge and understanding and enriched our shared humanity. You personally and intellectually touched numerous persons around the world. Erudite, humble, and humane. Your humaneness moved people. You comforted and gave strength to the afflicted. You dedicated your life to showing your students and colleagues methodologies for studying, understanding, and valuing cross-cultural sensitivities. You imparted values that transcended transient living. Your work brought honors to Brown University and made your kinsmen and friends proud. Your contributions to advancing the academy and enhancing the quality of life for all planted a legacy that will grow and glow. The eternal Creator created death. Death took him away. Alas, alas, alas.
Ashe. Greetings, beloved community, family, and friends, as we gather here from all corners of the world to honor our mentor, professor, colleague, and friend, Anani Dzidzienyo. He rises in spirit and power. My name is Gina Rodriguez-Trix, Africana Studies alum, class of 08.5. Today, Brown University's Department of Africana Studies and Rites and Reason Theater invite us to share in our collective memory of one of the greatest legacies of Africana scholarship. Born in Sekandi in what was then the British colony of the Gold Coast, and coming of age during Kwame Nkrumah's victory for Ghanaian independence, Professor Dzidzienyo became the first African scholar to work consistently on Brazil. His work catalyzed the intellectual pursuits of many who would forge decades-long discourses on the role of race, anti-Black racism, and the liberation struggles of Afro-Brazilians. Professor Dzidzienyo was one of the earliest appointments to what was then called the Afro-Am program, now the Department of Africana Studies and Rites and Reason Theater. He was also appointed to Brown University's Department of Portuguese and Brazilian Studies. Among many recognitions over the span of his triumphant career, he was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Brazilian Studies Association in 2019. But many of us will remember Professor Dzidzienyo as the professor who taught us lessons outside the classroom in the form of poems and proverbs. Upon hearing of someone's passing, he would often share a famous Ghanaian proverb, "A great tree in the forest has fallen." Today, we gather together in this virtual forest, each of us carrying in our hand our own acorn of his memory, with a promise to continue to uplift his legacy and curiosity with generosity and care. We will hear from Brown University leaders, faculty, and alumni, as well as enjoy musical performances from local and international guests. To begin our speaker portion of today's celebration of life, I introduce to you Chair of the Department of Africana Studies, Rites and Reason Theater, Dr. Brian Meeks.
I first met Anani Dzidzienyo at a conference, I think appropriately in honor of Pan-Africanist scholar Walter Rodney in Kingston, Jamaica in 2008. His legendary status as a pioneering student of Afro-Latin American scholarship preceded him, but the conversation that I remember was at Gloria's, the inevitable fried fish destination in the old piratic town of Port Royal, across the harbor from Kingston. We spoke about rum, and I was humbled by his knowledge. Anani was a connoisseur of the sugarcane liquor and knew the best varieties and all their qualities, from obscure to me Brazilian and Guatemalan labels to the rum agricole of Martinique and Haiti's exquisite Barbancourt to the well-known Anglo-Caribbean favorites Appleton, El Dorado, and Mount Gay. He knew them all, their vintage and their bouquet, and his knowledge and enthusiasm bowled me over. So when I came to Brown in 2015, Anani was an old friend and greeted me warmly, and in the 6 years I have been here, that friendship further blossomed. Anani had his special way of reaching out. He would drop into my office and chat about anything, but quite often our shared colonial and post-colonial experiences, like how high school in Ghana was much like Jamaica, or on the peculiarities of British colonialism and how it helped shape our common tastes, like our acquired love of condensed milk. However, what I remember most of Anani was my first Brown commencement when, as luck would have it, I was fortunate to stand beside him outside the Van Wickle gates as our students and alumni streamed out in the traditional ceremony. It was a revelation. Every cohort, every year, for decade upon decade, had students who, after spotting him, their faces lit up and shouted, "Anani!" and who then rushed, sometimes individually or in groups, some pushing strollers, to hug, chat briefly, and among the more recent groups, pose for a selfie with him. It was then outside Van Wickle that I first began to think of Anani as a kind of gatekeeper, not in the sense of a guard who excludes others from the inner sanctum, but one who greets outsiders, welcoming them in. And that was also the first time that I thought of him contiguously to the West African and Haitian deity, Legba. Legba, the god of speech, who communicates fluently in many languages and who keeps the gates. Anani, like Legba, was the in-between, the one who brought Africans, African Americans, Afro-Brazilians, Caribbean people, and all who wished to partake into one conversation. Note that I'm not here seeking to deify our dearly departed. Legba, after all, is also often a trickster, a quality that beyond his exquisite sense of humor, I never saw in Anani. But there's a connection to be made that I now put on the table for consideration. Let us imagine Anani as gatekeeper, interlocutor, connector. So to end my brief words, let me read from another gatekeeper, Kamau Brathwaite, who traveled down some of Anani's roads, from Barbados to London, to Ghana, to Jamaica, to New York, and back to Barbados, and whose words in his classic poem, Negos, invoke Legba. I think Anani might have appreciated this. I must be given words to shape my name to the syllables of trees. I must be given words to refashion futures like a healer's hand. I must be given words so that the bees in my blood's buzzing brain of memory will make flowers, will make flocks of birds, will make sky, will make heaven, the heaven open to the thunderstone and the volcano and the unfolding land. It is not enough to be pause, to be whole, to be void, to be silent, to be semicolon, to be semi-colony. Fling me the stone that will confound the void. Find me the rage and I will raise the colony. Fill me with words and I will blind your God. Atibon legba, ouvri bayi pour moi, ouvri bayi pour moi. Walk good, Anani, walk good, gatekeeper. It is now my pleasure and indeed privilege to introduce the president of Brown, Christina Paxson, who kindly and promptly volunteered to speak on behalf of the university.
Good afternoon. We're here today to honor the life of the man we all affectionately knew as Anani. Anani was an incredibly beloved member of the Brown community. He had a significant impact, both personally and professionally, on generations of students and faculty. Anani was truly a trailblazer. He was at Brown for more than 4 decades, and he was one of the very first faculty members in what has become the Department of Africana Studies and Rites and Reason Theater. His work brought visibility to the significant Black population in the Spanish and Portuguese-speaking Americas, and he was one of the earliest scholars in the U.S. to focus on Afro-Brazilian culture and the struggle with anti-Black racism within that culture. On a personal level, Anani, as we all know, was an incredibly caring and just joyful person who developed strong and meaningful ties with countless colleagues and students. The fact that these relationships endured, even after colleagues had left the university and students had graduated from Brown, it speaks volumes to how much everyone valued his friendship and his knowledge. So many students recall him as a mentor who shaped their academic experiences by challenging them, yes, but just as importantly, by listening to them. He was truly curious about everything, including his students' experiences. And I'm sure, as everyone remembers, Anani was a celebrity, actually a rock star at commencement and reunion weekend. Alumni would line up in droves for a chance to speak with him. I think he was the most popular person there every year. Anani's influence and legacy are felt in many ways, including through a course taught by Professor Keisha Comperi, in which students worked on archiving Anani's scholarly materials so that they can be preserved for future generations. Anani's wisdom also lives on through the generations of students who've gone on to follow in his path. They have become leading scholars in fields including African literature, Latin American studies, and Afro-Brazilian studies. We very much miss his presence in the Brown community, and it's our great responsibility as Anani's colleagues, students, and friends to continue to honor his legacy and ensure that his work continues to be shared. Thank you.
The poet Maya Angelou writes, "When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder, lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. In the face of the loss of our brother Anani, we similarly hunker down and lumber after safety." Anani and I met in the office of the president of Brown University when another great tree had fallen, George Houston Bass. It was 1990. I'd been Brown's chaplain for just a few weeks. I knew immediately that I was in the presence of a great soul, and our friendship grew over the years. Anani, a regular faculty usher at baccalaureate, slowly taught me about the tradition of pouring libation, which annually we perform to honor the elders, the shoulders on whom we stand, to be or strive to be great souls ourselves. The privilege to be Anani's colleague through these years is one that 90 seconds cannot encompass. I give thanks, as you do, for the honor of witnessing his hospitality to ideas and people that by every measure was extraordinary. I'm grateful to have been a recipient, but much more importantly, I'm grateful to have learned from him that tradition. The poet concludes her poem by writing, "And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us, they existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed." Anani, so it is. We can be and be better because you taught us, because you were our friend. So to Roseanne, to the family, and to the wide, wide circle of friendship and family that gather for this occasion to honor Anani, I say for us all, we truly are the blessed to have shared his generation.
Standing for Professor Dzidzienyo's family, I introduce Ni Adi, Jake Highmark, and Lena Frizzetti.
Anani. There is a man who walks. His smile tells you he knows you. He knows you well. The secrets of your humanness, your greatness, which you have been hiding, he knows it. And in his laughter, as he wags his finger at you, hey, you, he speaks with you and of you with pride to Roseanne, his life partner, to his brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, friends. And as he speaks, you know it is time for you to rise. Time for you to be you. His smile still beaming. His reassuring hand on your shoulder. He walks with you, urging you on. Around you, he urges on many, many more. A multitude that experiences his love eternally, joined together now and in the generations to come. His warm smile lighting up our lives. His familiar voice. Forward. Forward ever. Uncle Nani. Yetawase. Akwe. Obrigado. Thank you. Yinina is you witcher. Yenam. You're queen. We are thankful. We move forward together with you, Uncle Nani. Yedase.
Hi, my name is Jake Highmark. Anani was my professor, my godfather, and someone I try to be a little bit more like every day. When I think about Anani, I think about the times when I would visit him during his office hours, and there were many, many students lined up outside the door, and it would take hours for him to meet with each and every single person because he spent the time that everyone needed. Sometimes it was a small amount of time, and sometimes it was a long amount of time. And then we'd walk to dinner, and on the way to dinner, he'd run into 4 or 5 people, sometimes students, sometimes professors, sometimes people who he just knew because he was Anani. And then after dinner, we'd walk home, and in the 6 blocks from dinner to his apartment, we'd meet another 5 or 6 or sometimes 10 people who would stop him in the street to make sure they talked to him. I think one of the things that made Anani so special was that he made each of us feel special. And I hope that as we remember his legacy, we can continue to make everyone around us feel as special as he made us feel.
Anani, you promised to wait until we return from Bologna, but you hurried on your journey to the other world, the other side, the world where I am sure you were greeted royally by those who went ahead of you. The call from Roseanne shocked us, pained us, and all I could say was, why now? On May the 29th, 2011, when my mother passed away, you wrote her a letter in English and wanted it put into her coffin, with a piece of kente cloth. In the letter, you bid her well in her journey, asking her to show the note to the Ghanaian ancestors who will be meeting her, telling them that Mama Lucia was his mother as well. Her Ghana son asked the ancestor to meet and to welcome her. I could not do the same for you, Anani. You left too quickly. And yet I imagine all of the Eritreans alongside the Ghanaian ancestors meeting you. I could see how happy you were, smiling as you approached the two communities in their colorful garments representing two nations, extending their hand to welcome you. Anani, we had a bond, a family to share, and lots of warm and good memories that now I am left with. That bond is still working. Often I talk with you about problems and issues that no one understands. The first day I met you, Anani, was at the Rockefeller Library. We both share a strange custom to read the daily papers whenever we had time. We loved the feel of paper and the smell of the words. I wrote some notes once on a piece of paper, and you stopped at my desk and said, I am so impressed that you are using a fountain pen. I thought that was a weird note. But then, before I could say anything, you were gone. A month later, I came to know you, a person from Ghana, and at that time, we were the two people representing the continent, Africa. In our teaching, we basically covered east and west of the continent, while addressing what else we were hired to teach, two diverse geographic areas, India and Brazil. Anani's kindness had no limit. If a student approached him for help, he would send the same student to also speak with me. The sentence would start, you do not know me, but I'm a student here at Brown. And Anani sent me. I knew what needed to be done. And between us, we completed what was asked of us. We would later in the day maybe talk about the student, but we both knew not to expect receiving monies we loaned out. I'm not sure I'll find somebody like you, so generous and kind and attentive to people's need, whether you knew them or not. In my dealings with you, Anani, sometimes I would be upset that you never got angry. You would always add, why? It will not solve any problem. You are absolutely right. You are a sound and good teacher, offering proverbs sometimes for every occasion. And I dare not ask the meaning of the proverbs. You would jump on me. That small catch monkey proverb, which we still use in our household. Today, Katya and her daughter Suraya often refer to that sentence if I try to hurry matters up. We had a good time, Anani. A good time we spent together. You left us with amazing memories and memories to lean on at times when your absence seems unbearable. When we face a day that we will need you to be around us, to return to our world, we will call you down to heal and help us continue living. You will never disappear from our lives, Anani. Instead, you will enrich us. Your words will remain with us, and if I get angry, I can always say Anani would not want us. Anani would not want us to do that. I bid you all that's good up there, laughter, joy, and nothing but smiles from those around you.
Friends and family, from Salvador, Bahia, one of Brazil's most famous bloco afro, Olodum.
Eu sou João Jorge, eu sou presidente do Olodum, sou advogado, sou mestre de Direito Público e sou militante da diversidade e da luta antirracista no Brasil. Conheci o professor Anani em São Paulo, no Congresso das Culturas Negras das Américas, e fiquei impactado com a presença e a fala e a forma de pensar deste homem de Gana. E isso me inspirou nesses últimos 40 anos para fazer carnaval, cultura, para produzir e, acima de tudo, a minha proximidade com o país Gana, com o povo Ashanti. O professor Anani passou a ser um mentor, um inspirador de nível A, classe A, total sobre as nossas coisas aqui no Brasil e também no mundo. Era alguém que podia discutir o que estava acontecendo nos Estados Unidos, na África, na Europa, ir no Pelourinho, na Liberdade, Itapuã. O professor Anani, um generoso homem de sorriso largo, veio algumas outras vezes na Bahia e aqui levei a Laí de Feijão, apresentei amigos, mas gostava mesmo era da companhia intelectual, da companhia amiga deste grande homem de África vivendo no mundo. Por inspiração do professor Anani, eu fui a Gana, junto com o Olodum, para visitar o rei Osei-Tutu, que esteve na Bahia alguns anos antes, conosco na casa do Olodum. E ele foi praticamente o orientador de como seria estar em Gana, estar em Kumasi, estar em Accra, no Forte São Jorge, como fazer, como perceber as coisas além do que estava escrito. Então eu quero aqui saudar, homenagear este grande homem da África no mundo, este grande homem e professor da Brown University, e esse grande militante de uma causa antirracista. E, ao mesmo tempo, esse homem das letras, do conhecimento, de uma generosidade ímpar. O mentor, o inspirador de João Jorge, o inspirador do Olodum, professor Anani. Parabéns, obrigado, luz.
Todos os caminhos nos levam ao trono dourado. Vamos seguir o Olodum, nosso africantado. É assim que nós vamos chegar. Carnaval todo mundo a cantar, pra saudar nossa rainha, mãe Santiuá. É assim que nós vamos chegar. Carnaval todo mundo a cantar, pra saudar nossa rainha, mãe Santiuá. Avante, o Olodum com a chute, explosão cintilante a brilhar. Tradição cultural, alegria, é festa de estrelas. Pra saudar o Olodum, faz tambor e rufa, como é que é? Avante, o Olodum com a chute, explosão cintilante a brilhar. Tradição cultural, alegria, é festa de estrelas. Pra dançar o Olodum, faz tambor e rufa. Diversidade na crença, religiosidade na fé. Deus supremo, divino, Deus maior. No seu olhar tem a luz da lua e do sol.
Here, we welcome voices from Brown University faculty, alumni, and friends.
Hi, everyone. Well, for the last few years, I had the office next door to Anani. And one of the wonderful things about sharing an office wall was listening to the laughter that would come from his office. People would come in and out, and he always had a happy word and would talk really loudly and have just an amazing rapport with people, and that sort of laughter would just come through the walls and sort of make me feel better. So he was a wonderful person to be next to during those years. And what was lovely as well is, as Elijah was growing up, my son Elijah, he would go over and see Uncle Anani, Mr. Anani. And every time I would see Anani, he would ask after Elijah, and that, means a lot. And he really loved children and really took the time to get to know everyone, and ask those deep questions to get to know everyone, which is probably why so many people loved him. And so many people, graduation was just sort of, the Anani show, and loved watching the outpouring of love that would come from all years, right? During those reunion years, coming to visit and seeing him. It was just sort of really a testament to the reach and legacy that he had, what was important to him, and what will live on in all of us, right? As we move forward in this world without him. It's hard to believe. So I'm just really grateful for having him in my life, for knowing this amazing person. I wish I had more time to get to really know him, but I won't forget any of the wonderful things and memories and gifts and that sort of wonderful joie de vivre that he had. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Keith Thompson. I knew Anani as one of the kindest, most generous, and caring human beings I've ever met. Anani's default position to me was kindness. It was to be nice. He led with love. He led with good intentions. We could all use a little bit more of that in the world. To quote Anani, libations will be poured to our ancestors. Anani lives in all of us. He lives in me, and he lives in you. Cheers, peace, and love. Be well.
Anani Dzidzienyo, the first thing you did was teach us how to say and spell your name. How we name and speak is important. The original put some respect on it. Honor the ancestors, honor the lineage and history from which you come. The diaspora and stories that are floating through the winds, that are deep within our blood and bones, whispering in our souls. My friends, the ancestors are dancing today. They are celebrating and singing that they have one of the best amongst them. They are calling out in so many languages, Spanish and Portuguese, Akan and Twi. They are dancing in Ghana and Bahia, Havana and Cusco, San Juan to Bogota, New York, Providence and Accra. They are drumming and opening their hands and hearts to you, my friend, our teacher, Profe, who taught generations of scholars about ourselves and the world around us. How many of us sat on your couch and borrowed your books and articles? How many did you take home and cook for so that we could have a taste of comfort and hospitality? How many of us called you so much more than professor, but family and friends? You were often the first person we came for in Churchill House, walking up the stairs and all the way to the back of your oasis of knowledge that only you could decipher. Some would call it an office, others a mess or a tripping hazard, and then there were those of us who called it our safe haven, a home away from home. You who taught for decades and knew at least 3 generations of my family alone, not just by face but by name and country, origin and story. You were brilliant and a griot of the finest kind, a uniter of an often disconnected university and country. You were solace and solidarity and smiles. You were hugs and humanity and humble. How many of us ate at your table, brought you racist gifts from around the world, and celebrated your every word? To be in your presence was a gift. You were not just a professor, you were a world maker. You created friendships and relationships that last a lifetime. The epitome of lifelong learner. It isn't surprising that you taught till your last day. All of us, the many generations of your students, unite like delicate woven web of stories and histories you shared with us. Once an Anani student, always an Anani student. We are eternally dancing with you and the ancestors. In your name we pray and learn and pour and cherish. The Brown Center for Students of Color will have a library in your name and honor, and you will never be forgotten. Quite the contrary, we will continuously learn in your way, celebrating with the ancestors along the way. Ashe, dearest Anani, Ashe.
Querido Anani, you have guided and inspired so many of us in Portuguese and Brazilian studies. We dedicate these poems to you.
Nos quilombos. Nos quilombos que invento, o riso é largo e moreno.
A dor da dor é mínima que repartida em 1000 pedaços.
A força do canto é sagrada, sacode o ranço dos grilhões.
Mas nos quilombos que reinvento, a justiça é tocha e reluz. Ardente o meu cetro de fogo.
Caderno da civilização brasileira. O emaranhado da desmemória tece uma coroa de fatos, capciosamente esquecidos.
Na contracorrente, gangues zumbis só sobram, sem quase nunca chegar.
Posta em questão a literatura. Dobre monumento onde nossos ancestrais esplendem todo o valor de sua invisibilidade.
O crivo de minhas releituras atesta que a história oficial mente até nas entrelinhas.
Saudades, Anani.
Saudades, Anani.
Saudades, Anani.
Saudades, Anani.
of it all. I am
That was a performance by Providence-based artists and Brown University alumnus Lon Playton and Becky Bass. Up next, a special tribute by renowned author and scholar Ama Ata Aidoo, read by Lena Frizzetti with visuals by Dara Bayer, class of 2008, and musical underscore by Brian Moyer.
A tribute to Anani Dzidzienyo from Amata Aidoo. Monua Nani, when we met, we were already high school students. You at Mfatsimpe, I at Wesley College Girls. It's a joke that after your passing, I discovered that I was older than you by 9 months. My brother, I bring this in here because you always behaved as if you were 100 years older than me. Almost immediately after graduating from school, you won a scholarship and left for New York. That's when I began to lose you to America. However, you returned to Ghana to visit often, and right from the beginning of your appointment at Brown until that awful day that you went through the wormhole that we called death, we kept in touch. In those days, whenever I was invited to visit colleges and universities around Massachusetts as a professor, you always joined me when you could at whichever campus I would be on, including Smith and Mount Holyoke. Originally, I thought you were only interested in my novels, but a couple of years before your passing, I realized that you were just as keen on my plays as well as my poetry. But then it became even more obvious to me later that the whole of Africana Studies department were very much interested in the playwright me. So that's when what led to some several days dramatic reading of The Dilemma of a Ghost at Rites and Reason Theatre. Nani, the experience you gave me by inviting me to Brown for the fall semester of 7 consecutive years cannot be compared to any of my encounters in America. Of so many iconic memories from my Brown days, the most enduring seems to be you and Elmo sitting on the steps of Churchill House, waiting for my drive to come and take me home, before the two of you left for the evening. Thank you for being my colleague, my brother, and my friend. Anani, you draw people to you like bees to honey because you combined in your being so much care and so much courage, so much loyalty and love. Yes, we can say boldly that as a teacher you were incomparable, because we know how much the students who passed through your hands loved and appreciated you. And there are hundreds of them, if not thousands, in the US and around the world. Although you have gone, you have left us the memory of your courage, your tireless spirit, and your professionalism. Your notoriously famous generosity was not only in terms of those cute meals you cooked and shared with friends, colleagues, family, and quite often total strangers. In fact, you shared those friends too, so now I know I am not just name dropping, that I can too claim Roseanne Mitchell, your wife, Alina Fruzetti, Libby Highmark, Keisha Khan, Perry, and so many others as my friends and family too. Nani, I still can't believe you're gone, but you are gone. So fare thee well, my brother. I shall always miss you.
Friends and family, Grammy Award-winning musician, founder of the Tropicalia movement, former Minister of Culture for the nation of Brazil, and longtime friend of Professor Dzidzienyo, Gilberto Gil.
Upa neguinho na estrada, upa pra lá e pra cá. Vixe que coisa mais linda, upa neguinho começando a andar. Upa neguinho na estrada, upa pra lá e pra cá. Vixe que coisa mais linda, upa neguinho começando a andar, começando a andar, começando a andar. E já começa a apanhar. Cresce neguinho, me abraça, cresce, me ensina a cantar. Eu vim de tanta desgraça, mas muito te posso ensinar. Muito te posso ensinar. Capoeira posso ensinar. Ziquezira posso tirar. Valentia posso emprestar. Liberdade só posso esperar. Anani Dzidzienyo, great man, great person, great soul, great mind. He just left us recently. I had the privilege of meeting him several times. I had the privilege of having him interested in the Brazilian culture, interested in the links between Brazilian culture and African culture. He left us. We miss him.
From the words of Elmo Terry Morgan, Paget Henry, and Tony Bogues.
With assegai and shield, he brought light, strength, love, joy, this man, Anani.
Who will pour the libations to the gods and the ancestors? Who will provide us with the proverbs that enlighten our moments of paradox and perplexity? Who will keep us ever so close to Africa, to the great Kwame Nkrumah, and also to the great novelist Ayi Kweyarma? Who will tell us what those Twi, Yoruba, Italian, and Portuguese words mean when they creep into our English texts? Who will support so reliably the CLR James Journal that comes out of our Africana Studies department? Who will bring us the news of Afro-Brazil, its artists and scholars? The passing of Professor Anani Dzidzienyo in October of this year leaves a hole in our hearts and our department that will be impossible to fill. He was one of those persons who is truly irreplaceable. The energies flowing outward from him were such a positive and creative yes to life, such a firm embracing of others that we cannot but miss his presence in the hallways and offices of our department.
We called each other Brother Chief, a sign of affection and recognition of your African birth, your deep commitment to Pan-Africanism as a child of Nkrumah's Ghana, and my own commitment to historical and contemporary practices of Black internationalism. There was a British colonial past which we spoke often about, the ways in which boys had to wear short pants during colonial times. When I first met you, you sang a song for me, and I stopped in my tracks. as you repeated the lyrics of an old Jamaican party political song, which you said was taught to you in your high school by a Jamaican teacher. We wondered together about the ways in which the British colonial empire had created a network of colonies, one in which sometimes there was movement between those who were colonized. Jamaica was special for you, as you talked about the role of Marcus Garvey in Nkrumah's thought and politics.
Who will pour the libations and speak to the ancestors on our behalf?
Your work has been done. So, walk good, Brother Chief. Your intellectual footprints have taken root.
With assegai and shield, he brought light, strength, love, joy. This man, Anani. The following remarks are from former president of Brown University and former president of the Carnegie Corporation, Vartan Gregorian. We share in the morning of his sudden passing on April 15th, 2021, at 87 years old. Dr. Gregorian intended to be here today for this celebration of life. In what would become his own final days, he wrote the following tribute to Anani Dzidzienyo, dated April 14th, 2021.
Anani Dzidzienyo, tribute from Vartan Gregorian, former president of Brown University and the Carnegie Foundation. I am honored at the request of Roseanne and the Dzidzienyo family to pay tribute to Anani's extraordinary accomplishments as one of the finest scholars of Africana studies this country has produced, and to highlight the character of this remarkable man and teacher. In remembering Anani, I think of him as perhaps I knew him best, a man of vision, sound judgment, impeccable character, and sense of humor. In that connection, I am reminded of the ancient Greek biographer Plutarch, who chronicled the lives of such great historical figures as Mark Antony, Caesar, Hercules, Brutus, Alexander, and wondered why we still remember these mythic individuals. He tells us that it is not so much their exploits alone or the famous battles they won or lost that elevated them to near immortality, but rather it is their character, the deep and honest beauty of their souls that shone through in all their deeds and in their dealings with their fellow men and women that distinguishes them.
This is Arkoshester continuing to read the letter Vartan Gregorian wrote for Anani's remembrance. Their imagination, integrity, honor, tenacity, commitment, and faith, that is why we still remember them and repeat their stories. They have transcended time and risen above geography, and hence we hold them up to future generations as examples to be followed in any century, age, or era. After all, in the end, what stands out about people's lives, more even than what they accomplished, is their character, their basic humanity, their decency, and their dedication to living principles they believed in, even if that meant fighting tenaciously for what was right over what they knew to be wrong. When I became president of Brown University in 1989, I looked to Anani as an exemplary scholar and teacher. Faculty turned to him for advice and input in their research. Students, even those who had only one class with him, struck up a rapport and friendship which continued long after graduation. During his decades of service to Brown, he remained a towering presence and an outstanding educator, and was instrumental in growing the Africana studies program into what it is today. A man of personal and intellectual integrity, he defended his views with vigor and conviction. Yet, what impressed me most about Anani was his genuine humility. He was an extraordinary conciliator. Whenever there was trouble, he was sure to find a solution, usually one that involved laughter. He did all of that with style, intelligence, dignity, integrity, energy, faith, and loving care.
He was a critical lover of Brown. Above all, he stressed its elevated vision and its excellence. All of us who knew him are tremendously grateful for having had the privilege of his company, his wisdom, his leadership, his guidance, and his friendship. Vartan Gregorian, April 14, 2021.
On the sands of time, no, there was something that I left behind. When I leave this world, I'll leave no regrets, leave something to remember, so they won't forget I was here. I've lived, I've loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark so everyone will know I was here. I wanna say I lived each day until I died. I know that I had something in somebody's life. The hearts that I've touched will be the proof that I leave, that I made a difference, and this world will see I was here. I've lived, I've loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark so everyone will know I was here. I've lived, I've loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark so everyone will know I was here. I just want them to know that I gave my all, did my best, brought someone some happiness, left this world a little better because I was here. I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark so everyone will know I was here. I loved, I was here. I did, I done, I was here. 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 I was
Friends and family, once again, Dr. Brian Meeks.
Hi, I want to thank you all for being with us today. In concluding, I want to make one brief announcement. The department, in consultation with Roseanne Mitchell, had dearly hoped to launch today a fund in the name of Anani Dzidzienyo that would go towards a graduate student scholarship in his name. That, for reasons associated with the university's policies, despite good intentions all around, has not happened today. However, I give my assurance that it will be established in the near future. Please, therefore, consider to leave your information on the department's website or Twitter account, and we will let you know as soon as we are in a position to accept donations. Finally, I've been told, in case I miss any of the people whose many and diverse contributions made this memorial possible, not to thank any individual, but to ask you to watch the list of rolling credits that follow my remarks. However, I am going to break this commandment with two exceptions. Thank you, Roseanne Mitchell, for your generosity of time and spirit in this season of grief. And thank you, Elmo Terry Morgan, for leading and directing this entire program. One love, Ashe.
Thank you all once again for attending the celebration of life for our now shared ancestor, Anani Dzidzienyo. The Department of Africana Studies, Rites and Reason Theater is honored to have been able to share space with you today. You may also wish to visit the microsite where you may continue to share stories and photos of our greatest tree in the forest. Many blessings to Roseanne, Ni, and all the extended family. Professor Dzidzienyo, thank you for dedicating your life to enriching so many of ours. We thank you, we honor you, we love you. Saudade Sanani, Ashe.
As we end the ceremony, celebrating the life of Professor Anani Dzidzienyo, we thank all spirits who joined us. We implore you, depart in peace. Guide us on our way home and keep dangers and misfortunes away from each of us. We thank you. Oh, Nana, Monica, sir.
Criaram-se vários reinados, o ponto de Merina ficou consagrado. Rambosa, lama, vetor saudável, e Vato, cidade sagrada. A rainha Navalona destaca-se da vida e da mocidade. Majestosa negra, soberana da sociedade. Alienado pelos seus poderes, Rei Radama foi considerado um verdadeiro Meji, que levava o seu reino a bailar. Bantus, indonésios, árabes integram-se à cultura malgaxe. Raça varonil, alastrando-se pelo Brasil. Sankara Vatolai faz deslumbrar toda a nação. É Merinas, povos tradição. E os mazimbas foram vencidos pela invenção. Iê, sacalavai, zonaí. Iá, sacalavai, zonaá. Iê, sacalavai, zonaí. Iá, sacalavai, zonaá. Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor. E viva pelo Pelourinho, patrimônio da humanidade. É Pelourinho, Pelourinho, palco da vida e das negras verdades. Protesto, manifestações, faz o Olodum contra o apartheid. Juntamente com Madagascar, evocando igualdade e liberdade a reinar. Iê, sacalavai, zonaí. Iá, sacalavai, zonaá. Iê, sacalavai, zonaí. Iá, sacalavai, zonaá. Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor. Aie, Madagascar, Olodum, olha, eu disse aiê, aiê. Eu sou o arco-íris de Madagascar, olha, eu disse aiê, aiê. Madagascar, Olodum, olha, eu disse aiê, aiê. Eu sou o arco-íris de Madagascar, iê, Madagascar, zonaí. Ia, sacala vai zonar, iê, sacala vai zonaí. Ia, sacala vai zonar, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor. Aiê, Madagascar, Olodum, olha, eu disse aiê, aiê. Eu sou o arco-íris de Madagascar, olha, eu disse aiê, aiê. Madagascar, Olodum, olha, eu disse aiê, aiê. Eu sou o arco-íris de Madagascar, iê, sacala vai zonaí. Ia, sacala vai zonar, iê, sacala vai zonaí. Ia, sacala vai zonar, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor, Madagascar. Ilha, ilha do amor. Aiê, Madagascar, Olodum, olha, eu disse aiê, aiê. Eu sou o arco-íris de Madagascar, olha, eu disse aiê, aiê. Madagascar, Olodum, olha, eu disse aiê, aiê. Eu sou o arco-íris de Madagascar, iê, sacala vai zonaí. Ia, sacala vai zonar, iê, sacala vai zonaí. Ia, sacala vai zonar, iê, sacala vai zonaí. Ia, sacala vai zonar, iê.